If we could, I wanted to circle back a little bit to when you were talking about with your kids and the speech therapy and the behavior and analysts. Did you ever have to? I know some people are familiar with what's called an IEP, the Individualized Education Plan, and those typically, I believe, they do come from the school. I think even if you do take your child to a private evaluator, I do believe if you're going to get an IEP, it has to come through the school. Did you ever have to do that? And then, no, you never had to go.
No,
Okay.
I did not. I didn't feel like in one case I even asked the ABA, how would we benefit from some type of diagnosis, or because I'm already doing what I know I would be told to do if I had a diagnosis, and they agreed. They're you're doing everything that you can do just based on what you're seeing, and fortunately with us we saw great change. And, really growing out of the struggles. And so that was, right. I think, addressing, early on and taking that on myself, to navigate that and work through that. I think that was in large part the reason for the success, is because he was able to work with others, and we learned so much, during that time, that what I heard in listening to the experts was, you're already doing what you would do if you had a diagnosis.
And you're taking the long-term perspective, because you're the one that's going to be there. And I don't know I think I've told you this story, and I probably said it on here before, but when I took my son for a checkup to the pediatrician, and I told him, we're having sometimes his memory, like he can only remember, if I give him a list of 3 things, he can only remember the first, maybe the second, but the third, forget it. And, I was talking about some of those struggles, and they said, and I said, should I get him tested for ADHD? And they said, no, you're already doing everything. They were like, if he's homeschooled, he's in the best place that he could be. And they said, now, if he were in a public school, this is what we would tell you, and he would need to be evaluated, and he might need to be on medication and all these things. And it just dawned on me. I thought, so it's not my son, it's the system that you've got set up that you would be forcing him to be in. That would be
that
the
he would
issue.
Have to fit in that box.
And then it, and what would that do to him if he had to go through all of that? And and I didn't homeschool because of that. We were already homeschooling, and I just thought, wow, this is such a blessing that he's we're already. He's already in, this environment that's going to, set him up for success.
Right.
And again, not, to say anything bad about the public school system, they're doing, with so many kids, you kind of have to, meet at that status quo. But that, we were already able to meet, the needs that he had. At home, and I wouldn't have to, go. And so I've never taken him, and they gave me the name of some educational psychologist that I could take him to. And I said, at that time, should I get him tested? And they said, why? And I said, oh, well, maybe he can advocate for himself if, he has this diagnosis. And they even, and now I thought that was interesting that they even came back to me and said, well, there's really no point. If you're already doing these strategies and you're teaching him, eventually he's going to get to where hopefully he can self-regulate, and these strategies that we're kind of putting on him, he'll, internalize those things and these different tools that we're giving. But they said, there's really no point in that diagnosis. It's just, on paper. And so I was, thankful, definitely thankful in that moment that I was able to, we were already hopefully heading down the path of success.
Already on course. Similarly with dyslexia, the method taught that direct, explicit, systematic instruction of the Orton-Gillingham methodology, is what's recommended. And so a diagnosis, would the benefits that you may have, from a diagnosis would be if you needed, for example, special arrangements for taking a test, perhaps, the SAT or, something along those lines, even in college. And so that might be a benefit, at that stage. But with in terms of instruction, it's no different. You're going to be walking through the same instruction, regardless of what that looks like, because again, we're talking about very different needs all across the should we say the spectrum, maybe, but
right.
Of those needs. And so no, we didn't. There didn't seem to be a need for it, and we were on course, and we were working, and knowing that if the need ever did arise, for any type of assessment, then we would pursue that. But that certainly can be pursued at any age if you decide to go that course.